are now watching episode 14 of Three Ways to Say It podcast. This your boy KC.
I am your girl, Todd Carter.
Hi, everyone. I am Ashley.
All right. And today we're going to talk about something that's trending on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and it's the infamous Freaknik. We all talk about it. Some people have been to it. Some people don't know. The younger generation, we just see it. We don't really know much about it. We see the pictures. We see them videos, and we judge y'all. But okay. So before we get into, the details of it, let me kind of give like a little from what I know. And all the information I'm saying come from this YouTube channel called Comedy Hype. So if I say something wrong, they wrong. So anyway, so Freaknik actually originally it wasn't started to what it is now or what they saw it as, in the end. At first, it was literally a college-friendly little picnic by the school AUC. And so it was something they kind of got together. They just wanted like a little social, did they go to have a little picnic, go in the park, and it was really literally all about music and party. Everybody just a little social, something like you're having your little courtyard of your school or whatever. And that's literally all it was. And then as the years went on, it started getting bigger and bigger, and it started becoming a little national. And everybody from other from all schools wanted to be a part of this thing that was happening in Atlanta. And that's why it's called Freaknik. So it's basically freak and picnic put together. So the spelling used to be literally freak and NIC, like freak and picnic put together. But as time went on, and that it fell into the hands of people.
Your cousin.
The cousin, the folk. They literally took the C off of it and put a K, and that's why. So they took the picnic part out of it. So it ain't a picnic no more. It's just literally just freak.
Oh wow! So, I didn't even know that.
They changed the C to a K so they can take ownership of it. So and it turned into not a picnic. It wasn't about music and social no more. It was literally about them dudes going out there showing, they little jury, they cars, all this, and them girls going out there showing what body they got, and it was just a way for them men and them women and them young girls and dudes to just kind of show off, have a good little time. And it turned into what we be seeing on them pictures now. So yeah, I ain't gonna say it was the nastiest thing in the world, but when you look at it from what we've seen on social media, it wasn't the prettiest. And that could have just been part of it. But there's a lot of stuff surrounding it. A lot of women are now coming out. What actually back then was saying like they literally was wearing stuff and them dudes were kind of touching them in the wrong ways, like they feel like they were sexually assaulted. That's if people don't like to talk about that, but they were basically saying they were sexually assaulted because they had if they wore the little stuff because they were so used to the women kind of going out there and just just being for whatever. Those who wore their little stuff, them men feel like they could just do whatever to them, because that's what they thought it was out there for. So yeah, it was not about what it used to be about. So that's a little history on it. So I'm gonna just go ahead and open it up straight to the questions. My first question, and before I ask these questions, this is not a way to start a war between generations. This is a way to bridge generations so we can understand what was going on. So my first question would be to those people, what do y'all think for the people that those women and men who went to Freaknik and did the nasty and did what they supposed to do, and now that they turned into these people who on pulpits and who out here, judging young people and stuff, why do you think that is so now that they turned around and became the judgers, even though back then they were probably being judged? So it's flipped now. So why do y'all think that?
Well, thank you for that research. I think that was really good because I didn't know some of that. I should have did a research myself, but I did not. But I went to Freaknik when I was at a C on the end. And I want to say I went in 94, an amazing time. I went with family. I went with my brother. I went with my cousin and my cousin. So it was basically sisters and brothers going. And the youngest that was with us was 14, which was my cousin Kenya. And I think my brother was the oldest. And we rented a car and we went over that day. And it was an amazing time. I mean, it was people everywhere. when I tell you it was wall to wall, you could not, it would probably take you an hour just to go 2 miles. I mean, because it was literally like when Magic City Classic comes here and you see all the, that's how it was, but it was just a whole nother level. But I will tell you, back in 94, it was just a different time. It was in 95, and I think they tried to have one in 96. It kind of fell off. It didn't have the same, things to it because they, had kind of stopped it and they tried to start it back, but it had lost momentum. But when I went there, I mean, everybody went. And you could literally, because I did, you can literally sit on the car because it was just that slow and just not fall off, but just kind of ride. And that's what everybody was doing. We were hanging off of the cars, talking to people you didn't know. Of course, again, we was with our brothers, so we had a real PG. I mean, well, let me just not even PG. It was a real G, So we didn't see anything like other people may have experienced. I don't even think we drank alcohol. We were just out. Well, maybe we did. I think my brother and them probably did a little bit because we did go to like a hotel where we met some more people from Birmingham and they had a room. We were staying with one of my cousins and them mom friends. So when we got there, after we got through partying or whatever, we drove to Conyers, Georgia, and that's where we stayed. But some of our friends, they had hotels rooms. So we did go back to like one of those. And, they were partying, they were drinking. I mean, literally, it was just like little Birmingham there too, because it was nothing for you just to go 2 or 3 miles and see a lot of people from Birmingham there. So it was a really good time and we had a ball.
Okay. So for those people so you basically went to the better version of it. Okay, now let's think about the bad. Well, not bad, but the raunchy, I guess you want to call it. So why do you feel like those?
Okay, well, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So those young people.
Yeah, you saw everything.
So why do you feel like now they have turned to be the ones who, because a lot of them are, they turn around, literally, those are the ones judging young people now, even though that's what they did when they were young. So why do you feel like it has changed for them? Like now they just look like young people are doing stuff wrong now.
Well, because for one thing, we older. Like we ain't 20 no more. So for instance, myself too, because I am saved, I'm spiritual. And I think just after life happens. I mean, you don't stay in that frame of mind from when you were in your 20s. So that's why I guess people are a little bit scared because those people were in their 20s and now they're in their 40s and their 50s. So because you have to think about that was 94 and that's almost 30 years ago. So of course people are in real life jobs, situations. They didn't got the calling from God and different things like that. But it was raunchy. I mean, you would see liquor everywhere. You would see girls with very provocative clothing. I did have on me some Daisy Dukes myself, but mine was presentable. And my cousin had on some too, but they were still presentable for a 14-year-old. But we were out there with legs out as well. So that's just, it's just kind of the trend in the clothing too. And just to tie it into music, I was just listening to one song from that era, and they did talk about a lot of sex back then too in it, but I think that it just seemed different because we were younger. So when we were listening to it, where our parents may have thought, oh, I can't see how y'all listen, because my parent did say that. But at the time, I didn't see nothing wrong with it. It was like, but it's the latest song and it had that beat to it. So we listened and we didn't think nothing about it.
Okay. So what you think, Ashley?
I don't know. I guess specifically the ones who I would say the pulpitters that's not admitting that they didn't, that they did go. Yeah. And I'm like, don't go to Freaknik or don't go to the foot wash. I think it's all about the the message, like how you say it. So it's like, if you're gonna go, just be careful, or if you're gonna go with someone that you know. So I think it's more so on how that person says it, or some people say the messenger too. So just be honest, say that you went, say that this happened. Just make sure that you're just giving valuable information, I guess.
Okay. And now that you brought up music, might as well just slide into it. That's another thing when I see that, and I get it, I guess, yeah, that people who are of older generations literally listen to our music now, and they kind of judge our music. And I'm 26, so whatever generation you think I'm in or whatever, But well, Angela, what do you consider me again? I can't remember. Generation.
Are you Generation X? I could be wrong. Whatever is after millennials.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that generation. Our music, it go off. Oh, I argue about our music, you know what I'm saying? It's fun. But how I wonder, to me, I wonder how when people are older, how often do they forget that their music was almost a little worse and just as bad? And it just almost like, do they have amnesia? Like y'all were young too. And I really do. I hate to hear like somebody older be like, oh, the way they saying it. I'd be like, now what you listening to? I'd be like, cause I didn't know you were listening you was not riding down the road listening to gospel music. You was not listening to only,
right.
This flower type. You was not like, you listen to the same stuff. So it makes me wonder, why does amnesia come in? Because it was the same stuff. And where do we get it from? The generations before. So yeah, it made me wonder.
I just think it's a cycle.
Go ahead.
I think I feel some type of way in this episode because y'all saying old folks.
Well,
that's a joke.
Okay, well then, since you felt like, so how do you view our young music today?
I hate it, but I still listen to it because my kids listen to it. So I have some favorite songs that's like, but so I can talk about both things. Whereas I was back there in that generation where I listened to those songs, and I'm telling you, when I partied, y'all, I partied, but now I listen to some of the songs and I'm riding down the street, like when I'm in the car with my kids and they want to play their playlist. And it's like, no, I don't want to listen to that. Like, I don't want to listen to nobody talk about sex or what they did and lick this, do this, and do that. So I think now the music is more explicit. It talks more, it's giving you more of a visual. Whereas back then they just kind of said it, but now it's like, it's more in the bedroom with it. Back then it just seemed like they'll say something like "Pop That P," which is a song from Luke Skywalker that was, popular back then. Can it get the crowd going? Yeah. Is it a nasty song? Yeah. It can't, but it's not like, and I don't even know the people now, so y'all would have to tell me, the songs now, because I don't know the artists now. But
like the Glorilla
when
one, like Glorilla,
yeah,
like he was rapping in the other episode.
I like it though. But well, let me not talk about Glorilla. And she be on our podcast. Put something in the comments. But I like her music, and I listen to it some work. But it's raunchy, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think with this generation now, we have social media that's attached to the music. So I think that's the big part of it. So now with that music, we have young kids dancing to that music, and now other people can see it, versus when we were younger, we may be dancing to, Pop That P around auntie and mama them. So I think that's really the big difference when it comes to the music part, that social media being in there. That's just me.
Okay.
Right.
So y'all feel like the scariest part is that, when I say my generation, is that the generation behind me is is hearing this stuff already. Because I feel like now children 12, 10, I'm pretty sure they know the same songs I know, and I'm 26.
Right.
I don't think it's and I don't think you can hide it from them. Just like I got Spotify, they can get Spotify. Just like I had Apple Music, they have music. You know, they have iPhones and stuff now. When I was younger, they had iPhones and stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like everything we have access to, they have access to. So I guess what y'all are saying is the scary part is that the younger children can hear it.
Yeah, and I think it's where that comes into play is the parental control right there.
Right.
So again, I feel like someone 10, if we're in the car, my niece is in the car who's 11. Of course, if rap music come on, the radio version doesn't play the cursing and the P's and the D's and all that. So if we're listening to what the music connected to the phone, then it's like, no, we're listening to Kids Bop or whatever this Disney Channel music she be want to listen to. Because when in the car with me, it's none of that cursing stuff. It's just me. So, but now when I'm alone, that's a whole different story.
I'm about to say, like, I'm talking about right
but then
now.
again, it's because I know better. And then with social media being attached to it too, you do have some parents posting their kids dancing to this music in raunchy type ways, which is very cringy.
Yeah.
Very cringy. So that's why I say I just think social media is playing a big part into this music world now.
Okay.
I don't know if is it really the music or
being a parent. So I was just saying that, having a 13-year-old myself, I was, she got in the car one day and she had her own playlist. And we started listening to, I want to say it was Megan Thee Stallion, and it was a couple parts. And I was just like, oh no, wait a minute, you can't be listening to this. But it's like, unless you don't win it, and you could put parental things on there, but it's like, it's so, if they have a phone, it's just so much parental that you can get out there. And I guess what I really like is the fact of the radio play the clean version, but you could pretty much put the word in there. And so when I was little, stuff like that didn't come on till late at night. Even when it came down to showing sex on TV, it can be 10 o'clock in the morning and you can see a sex scene, or it can be regular TV, a sitcom in the middle of 7 p.m. and you see a sex scene. So, and it wasn't like that when I was small. So I think that's what's the problem too, is because no matter, you can't really run from it because the world has just went in such a direction. So even when you want to protect your children from what they're listening to, and do I talk to her about that? Yeah, I do. And I, go through her phone but it's like, even when I was let me give y'all a story. When I was, because, she used to be a dancing doll, and we were at an event, and the guy that was playing, that they had hired, so it was nothing against, the dancing doll. Well, first of all, let me correct this. We went to an event that was hosted by another dance team. Miss Diana was invited to come to another dance team. And y'all, when I tell you that the DJ was late, so someone else, just plugged up their music so that the crowd could have something to do. And he just, plugged up his phone. Well, I'm sorry, the host plugged up his phone, and he was from Birmingham. I can't think of his name right now. He just plugged up his phone and just let it go. Well, after a while, some explicit music came on, and everybody started looking around, cringing, because we were thinking like, this is a kids event. These are small kids. Some of the kids in the audience was like 3, things like that. And it was real nasty. And so Miss Diana, she came out of nowhere because she was just like, hold on, this is not my event. She said, but these are kids and my kids are here. And I love the fact that Miss Diana, she knew it was wrong. And because she, was the owner of, and she had brought her team, she stopped it. And it wasn't even her event. And she took, control of because she had her kids in there. She had to just, use her voice and just stop it. And so instantly they went and they stopped it. And she, took them over to the side and she just let them know, hey, if I knew that it was going to be things like this, I would have never brought my team. So I get it. Like, you do want to protect them, but it be everywhere. And so, I just, like the fact that she stopped it, because when I tell y'all, I was looking like, please, somebody put it out. Everybody was just cringing because the children were listening to them say the real sex things. And it was really embarrassing. It was like kind of hard to just, in that moment, it's like I wanted to just melt in the chair because it was just that bad.
Yeah, I think that's what I was pretty much saying about the car thing. So, I agree with you. It's only so much that we can save our children from, but I think it's those little things like those car rides when we're at dances to make sure that certain music isn't playing. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I do agree though. There's only so much that we can save them from. Yeah. But yeah.
I'm about to say that because if you think about it now, everything is really so I really don't even know what's not accessible to younger kids now. Mm-hmm. To be honest, you think about it, literally it's nothing they cannot get to. Every form of social media, let me not crack the code for them. Anyway, all they gotta do is go on the little account or whatever and put the different age or something. They gonna get them the account. What and they really do it. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So what really stops that? You know what I mean? Like, so I do agree. Like, I think it's something where you just literally have to tell your child right from wrong. I hope they, you do. Yeah, get them that part. Like you say, you can do as much as you can. So make sure they hitting the clean version. Make sure that you not playing it, because it's really nothing else you can do. I mean, that's one of the things I feel like, even if they go into the world, like, social media ain't going nowhere. It's getting bigger. Everything is on social media. One day, everybody gonna be working on social media. I mean, it's just literally everything is out there. It's nothing hidden no more. It's all out there on the table. I mean, it's just literally out there for people to grab. So yeah, I will agree that it's very hard. I don't know how you can really hide those children from bad music.
Unless I put her in my pocket. Other than that, it's like, yeah. I mean, even at school, y'all, let me just say this. When my children, they were in private school and then they transitioned into public school, it was a difference just there, because my children were used to being with the same not 4 or 5, usually in private school, you probably be in a classroom about 15, maybe 20 at best. And I will never forget when Haley got over into the public school, her first week, she came back and she had learned a bad word and she repeated it. And before, when she was at private school, not saying that because I sent my child to private school that they ain't learn, because I promise you, them kids were saying some stuff too, but because they was the same kids all the time, it just, they weren't exposed to more kids. Once my child was exposed to, say, not one homeroom, but 4 different homerooms, then you have to think about it. You coming into over 100 kids, depending on how many is in a room and how many, they have. So it's just more exposure to coming to somebody that may teach you something. And then I learned that real fast that, oh my God, even when they go to school, kids gonna teach them things and tell them things, and they'll come home with a new word that you may not even say.
Mm-hmm. True. Okay, so we're gonna switch gears a little bit. So I brought up Freaknik and I brought the music up, but my purpose for this episode was to literally bridge the gap with generations. That's why I say older generation, I say younger generation, because I literally want to find a way to bridge that gap. Because I know it's always, I think no matter what, the older generation are the parents, they're the grandparents, they're the parents, and the younger generation, that's children. So no matter what, it's gonna be judgment. It's gonna be, older. They're gonna have something to say to younger people, regardless. For one, maybe because they feel like they want you to do better than they did, or they just feel like, of course, they just feel like they just know more because they lived a little longer. Right. So, but I do have this question of, because I feel like this. I feel like, in a way, both sides pull from each other. So in the same way that the older generation feel like we got to judge and tell these younger kids what to do, I feel like you got to realize that sometimes the older generation needs those young kids now, today. So, like for example, I think that for like the older generation, this is a crazy example, but older generation, we are technology savvy. We are technology heavy. So the older generation needs us to work those phones, to work those computers, to tell them what's going on around them. You know what I'm saying? Because the world is different. So so I do want to bridge that gap to let people know, like, both need each other. I don't think it needs to be because we went through this.
I'm just
We
laughing.
gotta
Go ahead.
because we have been there before. We gotta judge out because at the end of the day, we need it. Both sides need each other. I feel like the older generation can take from the younger, and the younger can take from the older. So I want to ask this question: What's one thing you feel like first that the older generation can learn from the younger generation?
Who you posing the question to?
Both, both. I'm gonna answer it too.
Who you want it? Okay.
You can go.
So
you go first.
That's more like an actually question because you said what can the wait a minute. Say it again. I'm sorry.
What can the older generation learn from the younger generation? And if you feel like they can't learn nothing, that's what we're gonna address.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, I'm on check, and sometimes I do ask my kids to come here and do something. However, Casey, I am PC savvy too.
Okay.
But I will say yes. This is so fun. I remember teaching. Hey, I bought Haley a PC at 4, and I taught her how to use it. And now it's like, and within maybe a year or two, it was like I was going back to her saying, "How do you do this? How do you do this?"
Yeah.
Ever. So I get what you're saying. I was just trying to be funny.
Okay. Ashley.
Let's see. What could the older generation learn from the newer generation? Let's see. Of course, some of the new technology that's going on. Work smarter and not harder. So with that being said, I think with me being a millennial, I tend to see the older generation kind of wanting that life is going to be hard. You got to do this, you got to do that. And it's kind of like, well, what if I just go this way and I'll still have the same result? It's like, no, you can't do it that way. It's just like, I know, but it's still the same result. I don't know. I can't really fully explain it, but just in a sense, working smarter and not harder. Physical sense, literally the physical sense too, because yeah.
Okay. Here go mine. I feel like the older generation should listen to the younger generation in the sense of being like open and free. I think, and it's not everybody, I think a lot of the older generation are literally shoulder to shoulder on what they can do in life. They are more like, if you do this, this is the only result of it. Like, you can't go this way. You can't do, like, you have to, you know what I mean? Because they are so used to this traditional, this same pattern, this same, if we can only do it this way. So, as you know, like a lot of young people, that we got a lot of liberals, we got a lot of just free people. Like, this is young people just fluid in the sense of like, they just kind of go with life. You notice that's why a lot of young people don't stress. I think, honestly, the older generation stress more than the young people because of the fact they just be like, why don't you care? Like, don't you care more? And I think it's because literally, if you know, a lot of young people just literally, they live just on a day by day basis. Like, they don't stress about this, you know what I'm saying? They just living today. There be little stuff happening to them. If some young people now going through some stuff, I mean, that you wouldn't even believe. But you would just seeing them because they're younger, they still had that younger look. They just dealing with it. You know what I mean? And I think I feel like I'm like that too. Like, well, I know a lot of I probably do stuff and they'd be like, well, all you gotta do to fix this. No, it's just like I'm living on a day-to-day basis. Like, I'm not really thinking about that. I don't really care for real. I'm just trying to live free and just, I feel like just because that's what the world has to offer. So I do feel like the older generation can learn from the younger generation. Just live freely. You know what I mean? Just what's gonna hurt if you know what I'm saying, take a little risk to do this? What is gonna hurt? You know what I'm saying? Like, just be dangerous a little bit, you know. It ain't that serious, you know. Like life is just not that serious, you know. Just be open to the other stuff. Just I don't know, just live free. It's so easy, but you know what I'm saying. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
So let me say this. So when you say older generation, I think are you saying like meaning like your mom generation, or are you just talking about beyond your mom generation? So let's try to break down like what are we saying, so that I was just thinking about a couple things, but I just want to make sure I understand when you're saying older generation, what age group are we talking about?
So I'm gonna say I'm like a specific. Well, I just say the generator for me. So I'm gonna do like 45 and up. We're like that, 45 and up. I think that's pretty. 45ish and up. You can say that. You can say that.
So let me just say, I'm a mature adult. That I think that people my age, you know, they are, you know, doing a lot of things too. I think y'all may have technology. I don't think that we necessarily work hard, because you got some people around my age, they definitely working smart. I think what y'all are trying to say is that it's just a different type of thing. So let me just compare it to say like my grandmother. So, you know, they were people, they didn't have all this technology, you know, they didn't have social media like we do. So when they were fighting for things and doing things, they had to do it in a way that we can't reach. So say for instance, like they had to do marches, you know, to make a difference. Whereas when we look at it, I mean, we benefit from a lot of that stuff today. So I feel like they were smart, but they lived in a time where they had to be very careful, because that was back in the day for like, because they marched and did things like that, they may wake up and have a cross burning, you know, like in their yard or something like that. So I think then when that next generation came, it's like, you know, people probably was trying to tell their kids, oh, don't do this. And you know, you can't do that, because they're afraid. And you know, and as time go on, and then we start to do things, we have to think about just in 1968 is when, you know, they killed, you know, Martin Luther King. And we were talking about that just the other day. We don't know how that feel to be where, you know, back in those days when we can't go to the lunch counter, you know. So again, they were using their head, they were making milestones, but they didn't have what we have, like cell phones to call. They had to do everything kind of like the hard way. So I think that's why it seemed like they weren't working smart, because they didn't have all this technology. Whereas like we're doing now, we're having a conversation and we're in our homes. And that probably would have been very beneficial for them to have like a good old, you know, meeting and stuff, but they just didn't have access to it. So I think with you guys and my kids and things like that, y'all in this area where y'all have more, know more, and probably do more, but it just be seeming like these kids be, let me say it a good way, I don't know, it just seems like they just be a little bit not stronger, you know, as in the people that live. Because let me tell you, I'm not as strong as the people who marched. Because I'm gonna tell you, I probably would have been somewhere in the house hiding. I would have not been in the streets of Birmingham doing no type of marching, letting them put them hoes on me. I'm gonna say I'll be one of them weak ones, because man, when they tell me some Tasha, we finna go down here and meet at Kelly Eman Park, and we finna and I'll be like, ooh, that sounds good, and I want to do it, but I'll be right sitting behind my mom. So
yeah, and I think that was the point right there. Was it's not that we don't appreciate the hard work that was before us, because we know that these people were smart, because if they weren't smart, we wouldn't be here, right? Or being able to have this type of platform. I think what we're just trying to say is that things change over time, right? So if it's an easier way to do this is how we're saying, like, hey, we know that you fought to do this, but today's society, we don't have to do that. So let's just try it this way. We'll still get the same result. So that's the only thing that,
Yeah. And I think and just like now, us and our generation, I think it's stuff we have to do now that people behind us aren't gonna have to do. Like now, I feel like how it's harder for us to get stuff and we have to do step, all this. I feel like us going through it, the people behind us are not gonna have to do it. So I would, I
that's
definitely
just a
acknowledge
cycle.
I don't want no activists trying to get at me, but I'm just saying, So no, definitely I definitely understand, what people have fought for us, and I get it. I really do. I get we are only here and being able to do what we do. I'm living in my own space, not owned by somebody. So of course I know that somebody fought and went through certain stuff for us to be here now. But in a sense, I guess I was targeting. I'm not targeting, saying it to those who are still active in the world with me, I guess. So those who can probably take notes on that and probably further them now. So not the people who've already fought for us, just those who are still active with me, who are around, could just take notes on that and it'll help them out. You get what I'm saying?
I would say that y'all environment is more hostile. I feel like the generation coming behind us, or even just right now, it just with everything and how things are going, it's like y'all really have to be aware of what's going on. It just seems like everything is just faster and faster, and the world doesn't. It just seems like the world is just having events that are happening, that is letting us know that we are in those last days. So I think for the generation coming, I'm glad I'm with this generation, because I don't know if I would want to be with the like with how we're trending with, it's nothing for somebody just to go and, be in a party shooting. Just like we just had that where 4 people lost their lives in Dateville, I think, which is kind of somewhere near, not too far from Prattville, where it was just a party, and because somebody didn't get in, they went in and shot it up. When I was little, I mean, they were doing things, y'all, but not like that. So I do get the fact that the newer generation have more to be concerned about. All generations have had something to be concerned about, but I mean, I do feel bad for them because their world is just so, ugh. I don't even have a word for it. It's something to be concerned about, because it's just sad.
Yeah, and now that you say that, just to talk about the generations, because that's what it's about anyway. The younger generation behind us, I do feel like it's very scary for them because of the things that happen in schools now. Now, I'm not so far away. Well, I'm 26, so I'm speaking of this stuff happening to children in elementary and middle school. So I'm far out of high school, past college. But to think that now the generation behind me has to literally go to school and think that somebody can come in and do something to us. I don't think when I was at that age, not saying it didn't happen somewhere, but I don't think that was a concern for me. I don't think I went to elementary school thinking like I might not walk out of here, or like I hear a sound and that's something else. So I will say, in that sense, I do feel for this generation behind me. They definitely are being kind of conditioned to be tough in anything. They literally have to. They're kind of conditioned to look over their shoulders already. They ain't even had to go through nothing yet. They already got to look over their shoulders. They can't even, they go to school. I mean, literally going to school not knowing if something can happen. No matter security or not, as we see, the security, it don't even matter. You could be down the street from police station. It just don't matter no more. So I do feel for that generation behind me. So yeah. Okay. Let me ask a question. We talking about generation. Yeah, go ahead.
And whether you're in the suburbs or in the country, when they choose a school, they go in all the communities and do that. So it's like you can't be like, oh, well, my child is in this good school system. And no, they go in there and shoot at them schools too. So it's just, yeah.
Okay. Now, I'm going to ask a question. We're talking about generations. What is one thing that y'all appreciate about y'all generation? And I keep saying generation. I don't know if I'm talking age group, but you get what I'm saying. Like, what generation you consider yourself to be in. What's one thing you appreciate about your generation? And you know what? I just go first. Whatever. All right. I am generation. Well, I forget that quick. I am Generation Z. And it's so crazy. I ain't gonna say we were clowns, but literally we are a humorous generation. Like we came up with the memes and making everything a joke. Now, if you, it's funny because when I think about it, I'm just like this. Like if you go on Facebook, it could be something. Let me not say something too crazy. Somebody, just for example, somebody can get a divorce or something. The first people you're gonna see is my generation, literally making a joke. That lady could be on there crying. This generation right here, I'm gonna go on there and then I made it a whole joke. It turned into something else. Like that, just a real humorous generation. Like the memes, all that. We got a picture reaction to everything. And I think we're very savvy in that. Like you can have a conversation with us, and we got a picture for it. We got a bit funny video for it. Like we got a reference for it. And so yeah, I basically we're a childish generation, but in a way, I think that my generation just know how to not take stuff so heavily. Like we take everything so lightly. Even example, like you go on Twitter, it could be something like, God forbid, it could be an earthquake. They'll be in they'll be went on there and be like, y'all, come on, let's talk right quick before we through or something. You know, just making a joke of it. Now you can take it as serious.
Right.
And I think it can sometimes be a good and bad thing. Sometimes bad, like, come on, y'all. Like something can still happen. On the other side, it's just like, it ain't no point of being sad about it. It ain't, you can't control it. Might as well joke on it. So that's something I really love about my generation. I think I am the same way. I laugh at stuff that's not even funny. Or don't supposed to be funny. So I think that's just what my generation literally won't take nothing really too serious. Everything is light, just very humorous and childish if you want to. Look at my wall. That's my generation. But yeah, Generation Z. That's it.
I am with Generation X, and what I am most proud about with that generation is I feel like that generation, as I said earlier, is the one who fought for us to be able to do some of the things that we do now. And you guys are both right in terms of saying that they are more serious, you know. So I would say that it probably is because of the upbringing and things like that, how they were, you know, brought up. And so you have to think about it. My mom was brought up from a person who was probably like one generation from slavery. So in turn, that's just going to make us more serious. Whereas now, when even me, I'm different from how my mom brought me up. So my children are going to be a little bit lighter than I am. So I would say that, of course, I'll be more serious because that's, you know, how I was raised with the, you know, serious parents. So I'm just proud that they were strong and continue to thrive because my age group had a big gap. And so I think that we are still viable in the community and we're still killing and crushing it. And, you know, yeah. So I like being where I am, you know.
All right. Ashley.
Okay, last but not least, we already know who carries the weight of this world. It's the millennials. We're right here in the middle with the overbearing parents who, what we said, we're the generational curse breakers.
Yeah.
We're the student loan debt. We're the ones still trying to figure out if we want to be free or have boundaries or do this. We're still trying to figure out life because we don't know where to go. But the best thing I would say about my generation is we brought in the cell phone. So y'all wouldn't be talking right now if we went for millennials. So say thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. And I feel like we had the best cartoons. I'm sorry. Like the best TV show. You good?
What's up?
Are you good?
What's up?
Okay. Because you know Melissa's coming for you if you.
So we can break. I'll break them out. Hold on.
So I would. So just right off the top, I would say we definitely had the best cartoons and TV shows. So I'm gonna say that cell phones and TV shows.
Let me tell you something about them TV shows.
What about them?
Let's bring the catalogs out. We could do it.
Oh, you want to
come? No.
Go get it.
Oh, I'm about to take it off.
Because you know, I got a team coming behind me. The millennials coming now.
I ain't not gonna do. You know, we don't show up for nothing else but the argument. So we ready for that.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. But yeah, I think okay. Yeah, I did like I like that everybody had this thing about generations. I do think sometimes we kind of don't realize the group of people around us that we kind of experience in the world with. I think because we're so like fascinated with other generations and ages, we really don't realize that the people around us, we have experienced everything at the same length, rate, everything. Like I was just saying, like, the generation behind me, of course, they went through a basically, a pandemic. But now I can say literally that I've been through one a recession and a pandemic, been through crazy presidents, like little stuff like that. And you don't even think about that. It's generations that won't even go through that stuff. They'll read about it. Just like, stuff that millennials went through and your generation. Well, we went through stuff. I don't know, we can only read about it. We just don't know. So I do think sometimes we have to appreciate that our generation is still here strong and that we went through all this stuff and that, we good. And we just talk about it because everybody got to read about it. But my point for this episode was to literally just want other generations to realize, just appreciate each other. Like, I think we are so judgmental of other generations. And I will say, as some younger person, it's some stuff, even like my mama, just I probably don't even understand why she say stuff to me in a certain way. Of course, I didn't live in the time that she did. So, as children, we give a little kickback, like we like whatever, because you don't understand. And in the same, like, it's some stuff, and then she actually understand now. My mama she don't even judge. She was like, I was young once. Some stuff I can't be mad at because I just don't understand it. We just two different generations. It's like you'll never understand it. But I will say, I really want us to stop like judging other generations. Like if we see like I had to stop myself from doing that. I be like, even now, like I know these people are younger than me, the stuff they be doing. I be like, come on now. Like it's just like they are able to do everything. But I literally had to sit there and look at it like, you know what? Time progressing, they're gonna get faster as it comes. Ain't no stopping it. I just like, you know what? I can't judge what I don't understand. And I'm just got to appreciate the and it makes you appreciate the generation that you was in and be like, well, you know what? We didn't look this way to somebody, so I can appreciate that much. So yeah, I just want generations to I want us to, realize that we pulling from each other. We from different times. Like, let's just not judge each other and just understand that we should not hate something just because we don't understand it. Just be open to hearing about other generations and realize that, yeah, we different ages and, we just different generations. But at the end of the day, we just got to be open to listening and realize that just because something is different does not mean we got to judge it or hate it. So yeah, I did just want to do that. Okay. So like we always do, I'm gonna just give my last remark. My last remark would be definitely watch this Freaknik documentary. And for everybody that's in it, you better hope it ain't no video or preaching to nobody or telling somebody they wrong for doing something. And that right there lets you know. Don't be judging people now, because your past don't go too far away from it. It's gonna always be there. You cannot erase history. Just remember that. Don't be judging these young people because you were young too. That's my last remark. Be for real, please. That's my last remark. Go ahead.
I'll just end it with talking to my millennials, because I know we have a lot of TikTokers that's millennials, people who were born in the millennial, and I would just say keep hanging on. And like I always say, figure out what you want to do it, and don't worry about anything else. So shout out to millennials.
I should shout mine out, but it's okay. Go ahead, Miss Tasha.
All right. Well, since I'm a seasoned veteran here, the one who went to the Freaknik, I can just assure you there is no video. There's no pictures. I have the picture, and it is G again. But no, seriously, that was a great time. I did it. I was young and we had fun. I am looking forward to see the documentary. I'm not gonna lie, because I just want to. I guess I just want to experience that moment again, just from looking at it. Just like, because I'm so far from it. But also too, just to say, because I am being called in a whole nother direction nowadays in my life in terms of ministry and things like that. So to you, Keontae, yes, you can go to Freaknik, and then you can also keep going in life and become a preacher. So it's okay to do, you can evolve. But my last word would be, because we kind of talked about the music being the way that it is, and how that music back then was awful and how it is now, is that just only thing I can say is guard your ear gate. Have those conversations. Do like Ashley said, if you're in a car with younger people, then don't listen to that type of music, even though they may have access to it. It's just set that example so that they understand that this, you shouldn't be listening to it, and then have those conversations. Because I know I have conversations with my kids and my nieces and nephews and things like that, and just know that faith comes by hearing. And whether you're hearing something good or bad, if you hear it long enough, it will get in you. And a lot of the songs today have a lot of demonic stuff behind it, and I think that people don't realize that when they're listening to it. Even myself, some songs I like, that I listen to, and because I like the beat, but I have to be cautious of what I'm taking in as well. So I just want people to know that, if you're listening to it, it's going to get in there. It's going to plant a little seed. So that's what I got for you.
Okay. Before I end it, I do want to respond. Yes, you are right. People do evolve. Just when you're evolving, don't be judging people because you did it before. And that's it. Yeah. But yeah.
Look, when I was in the streets, I was in the streets. I've never been like a wow one, but I partied. Oh yeah, I partied.
Hey.
Party.
Yeah. Just want everybody to just.
I save now.
Right. Okay. Thank you guys for watching. Like we always say, like, share, comment, subscribe. Tell us if you did go to Freaknik. Tell us your experience. And I know if you did something, you're not gonna tell us anyway, but it is okay. All right, y'all. See y'all in the next episode.